Chapter 10, Mishnah 5. The new crop, Hadash, of any of the 5 types of grain, wheat, barley, spelt, oats, or rye, may not be eaten until the Omer has been offered on the 16th of Nisan. This Mishnah discusses this prohibition. Once the Omer was offered in the Beis HaMikdash on the 16th of Nisan, the people would go out and find the marketplace of Jerusalem full of regular flour and oven-dried grain flour from the new crop, which had been harvested before Pesach, against the wishes of the sages. The sages were concerned that if the new grain was harvested before the Omer was offered, it might also be eaten then, while it is still biblically forbidden. They therefore prohibited harvesting any new grain until the Omer was offered. Those are the words of Rebbe Meir. But Rebbe Yehuda says it was in accordance with the wishes of the sages that they did it, since the sages never prohibited harvesting grain before the Omer offering. Having discussed the prohibition of eating the new crop before its time, the Mishnah now addresses when eating the new crop becomes permitted. Once the Omer was offered in the Beis HaMikdash on the 16th of Nisan, it was permitted to eat the new crop of grain immediately. Those who were distant from Jerusalem and thus did not know exactly when the Omer had been offered were allowed to eat the new crop from midday and on, as will be explained at the end of this Mishnah. After the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, when the Omer could no longer be offered, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted that the day of waving, the 16th of Nisan, the day the Omer was waved when the Beis HaMikdash was standing, should be totally forbidden. That is, it is forbidden to eat the new crop of grain for the entire day. A Tana counters that the new crop of grain was anyhow biblically prohibited for the entire day. Rabbi Yehuda said, but after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the new crop is prohibited by the Torah all day on the 16th of Nisan, as it is stated in Vayikra chapter 23, verse 14. You shall not eat bread or roasted kernels or plump kernels until this very day. This teaches that when there is no Omer offering, the new crop is biblically forbidden through the 16th of Nisan. Why then was it necessary for Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai to institute a decree against eating the new crop? The Mishnah leaves the question unanswered. The Mishnah stated earlier that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, once the Omer was offered, it was permitted to eat the new crop of grain immediately. The Mishnah stated further that those who were distant from Jerusalem and thus did not know exactly when the Omer had been offered were allowed to eat the new crop from midday and on. The Gemara addresses the basis for that law. Why were those who were distant from Jerusalem allowed to eat the new grain from midday and on? It is because the sages know that the court is not lazy with it. People can thus rely on the court to make sure that their agents, the Kohanim, will offer the Omer as early as possible. Thus, it may be assumed that the Omer was offered by midday.